Yes, just a moment. Woo! What did I just watch? What was that? That's why I didn't want to laugh at Oyla and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oyla always hides. Tony, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but I still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. But Mom always winced and grumbled at the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello. Hold on. Hold on. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello. The senior officer who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Voiva. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands who wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your windows look straight to the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He looks familiar. He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of the guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. Oh, I like that. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I hadn't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything's alright, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same kind of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Isn't that the truth? Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Ah, then I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. His face stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him, being all alone, there. And for some reason, I thought of the forest, swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it. Poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splinting off old paint from the window sill. I remember all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I have read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. Then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Euler will be so happy. And not only Euler, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Euler a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself and a whole box of Kinder Surprise. Hey Siri, what is Kinder Surprise?
Kinder Surprise, also known as Kinder Egg or Kinder Surprise Egg.
Oh, it's a surprise egg. Okay. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about that. I had no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think? Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had any money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Euler. Sometimes I gave her my share, too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pip squeak. I couldn't wait to go out, looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photo next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals, or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? You better go pack your school bag or play with Euler. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself with a freshly sharpened axe. And Euler can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Bye-Bye is living in there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp, and so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I like to hide in the closet and listen to Euler count inside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Let's see what we got here. Is that a pill bottle? That's a pill bottle. Ugh. What is that? What is that? Is that meat? What is that supposed to be? Is that organs? What is that? Grandma kept ice cream for me and Euler there, but now I can only see meat bits for soup and clumps together. Pelmini. I don't know what that is. I grew to hate them already. Okay, turning back. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there's stripes all over the screen. My mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So, have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings. Maybe it's just the settings. Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it. Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Oyla's room. I opened the front gate and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became high as my knees. I remember my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head on all of its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Oyla. The time had reached to its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, I feel like the Grinch, and both me and Oyla turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our out apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Oyla present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up in our powers? And our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home. The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I need to stop reading so fast. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. It's a glove. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I got almost to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungered semi-dark. What is that? Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Street of Broken Lights. He also reading can I not do? Nope. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Would this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I don't like that. I don't. Take my money, everything. My wallet's in my pocket. Just leave me alone. I don't want it. I'm drinking some citrus to keep my nerves down. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. what's going on. I don't like none of this. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Maybe we should go back inside. Maybe that. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I'm running away. Lumps of snow fell from the branch and reminded me of the sound soil when you Lumps of snow fell from the branch and reminded me of the sound soil makes when you throw it into the pit on top of a casket. I immediately felt dizzy as if I was balancing a precipice. I slowly backed away from my finding. It felt like the moment I touched it, a trap would spring, and the mouse would get caught. Someone stepped on the ice behind me, close by. My inner voice whispered, "Save yourself! Run!" My nerves got the better of me. I ran, burying my head in my shoulders. Something was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my head. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sunk in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from underneath the waterfall. That's not what that says. From under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to get caught new and even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror from realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something was in the snow pile, was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and pushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump from there and ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden underneath the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and obediently gave way.
To be continued.